Okay. So welcome to our Zoom. Thank you for attending. We hope you've been enjoying the Climate Fringe week and have managed along to some of the activities CAN and Plastic Free Helensburgh have arranged. And Maggie at the church has been doing a great job. Thanks, Maggie, for showing the video, its debut at church on Sunday.
I just want to add my own thanks to Gordon, if I can, Lindsay, for it.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic video, Gordon. Many thanks. I loved all the bees and the butterflies.
It was brilliant. This evening is going to be a very brief overview of our village climate action network and what's going on. Just a brief housekeeping. Is everybody on mute now? I think everybody is. Thank you. We're going to kick off with our video. We'd like to say a massive thank you to Gordon Howie for the work he's put into this. Gordon is a new Cardross resident with a career in animation, and we are so lucky to have him on board. Right, I'm going to hand over to Heather, who's got Zoom control to show us our video. Go for it.
Apologies.
Yeah, that's good.
Later this year, world leaders will gather in Glasgow for COP26, the UN Climate Change Conference. Their mission is to accelerate global action against the climate crisis. We asked the residents of Cardross what their hopes are for the future in regards to climate action in the village.
My hope for the future is that my little boy can play and explore in nature the way I did when I was younger.
I hope that in Cardross we can use our food waste more efficiently, with less going into landfill and more going back into our gardens.
I manufacture palm oil-free soap, and I hope that the rainforests are protected because they are the lungs of the world.
So my hope is that the people that will be around will have at least the richness of wildlife that I've already been lucky enough to see.
I hope that everybody in Cardross starts to drive electric cars.
I hope that we end up properly valuing our marine coastal ecosystems, especially stuff like our native seagrass, and that we work with it in developing novel, environmentally sensitive sea farming methods.
I hope Cardross can lead the way as we change to heating our houses sustainably.
I hope we get a new cycle path soon, so that our children can cycle into the village and cycle out of the village to access education in a carbon neutral fashion.
I do hope the community consider putting in a community-owned wind farm up the hill behind us here.
We hope that soon there will be a thriving community garden in Cardross for all to enjoy.
My hope for the future is that many homes will have solar panels and possibly wind turbines.
I hope for the future of Cardross that people will stop throwing litter in our town and our beaches.
I hope that in the future we'll see lots of red squirrels in Cardross and lots of other diverse wildlife.
My hope for Cardross is that the roads would be much quieter.
I hope the bees and butterflies still come to my garden.
It is my hope that we'll be able to look at the world that God has made and, as He once declared, declare it again to be good.
I hope that the ice stops melting because I love penguins.
I hope we can end our dependence on fossil fuels so that we can save millions of lives every year.
We hope to see real red squirrels one day.
I hope there's a cycle path in Cardross when I'm older. And I hope there's no plastic on the beach when I'm older.
I hope people will buy locally grown food because well, it tastes obviously better. It saves all them Arctics in the road, wheeling stuff up to England when you can grow it here. You know, across the planet. I can't figure it out, you know.
I hope that people can learn about seasonality and what we can produce food-wise in Scotland and our climate.
I hope we can ride dragons in the future because they don't use fossil fuel and I love dragons.
And that we will have this lovely green area here with some trees and learn how trees grow.
Papa, we already know how trees grow.
Do you know how trees grow?
You just need a seed.
Oh, you need a seed, that's right. Well, we want to grow more trees.
I hope my potatoes grow.
I hope that we can learn from the pandemic and take action urgently on climate together, because what makes the planet sick makes people sick too.
We hope and urge that COP26 motivates the global community to take urgent action on the climate crisis. In Cardross, we are proud to help each other and work together towards a net zero future. The smallest of changes can make the biggest difference. Let's take good care of our community and our planet.
Thank you so much, Heather. Well, amazing.
Oh, that was amazing. Well done.
I hope you all enjoyed that. Thank you again to everyone who's involved with this, and thanks again to Gordon. There's such a range of topics that have come out in this. It will keep us going in wee project groups for some time to come. So moving on, some of you may be new to our group. Very brief background. 3 of us met at the Beach Clean last October, decided to forming a network would be a good plan, with the objectives of sharing knowledge and experience of ways to reduce our impact on a day-to-day basis on Earth. None of us are experts in any shape or form. Well, actually now we've gathered some proper experts and things, but we're all just learning together. Since then, we've created a psychopath petition, created some subgroups and started some fun projects. We have a mailing list of 73 lovely people, followers of our Facebook and Instagram pages, and 18 people actively involved in our groups. We're going to hear from some of them now. So if I could hand over to Tahira to give us a brief rundown on the reuse, reduce and recycle group, please. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Lindsay, and thank you, Gordon, for such a lovely film to watch. It was nice, very nice. Captured a lot of the themes about the recycling. Actually, every time there was a recycling, I get drawn to that now because it's like, you know, I consider it one of the areas that I'm more actively involved in, as well as the gardening side, of course. So with the recycling group, it's, I would say, probably it's kind of infancy stage at the moment. Well, going back to kind of more the embryonic stage, I would say the summer kind of big clean campaign happened. That was probably the inaugural event over summertime, and you know that was good. It had good participation across the village, and you know it gathered up, I don't know, something like, I mean, Henry knows the stats, but it was something like 24 to 27 big bags. So you know the village did sparkle, maybe for about a week. You know, that was the only thing. You know, sadly, it's a reflection on society, because no sooner have you cleaned it up and it's back again. But hopefully there'll be some more education around that. People will stop doing that, and the more they see these kind of events happening, it will encourage people to, you know, stop and think when they throw in it. Quite often it is people from outside the village as well. It's not necessarily people that live in the village. But you know, it's a combination. There's probably a few areas that we can tackle. So the recycling group, I'm sure, will continue, probably in the same vein that we have the beach clean, you know, biannual kind of thing. So we'll see how that goes. Now I think we're kind of entering into the toddler stage, and I'm hoping there's not going to be any major tantrums at this stage, you know, as we expand our activities. We've got, well, we're doing 4 events in one this Sunday. You know, hopefully you guys all know about these events, and you know they've been publicised, etc. And they'll centre around kind of like, you know, a bicycle, four kind of different aspects. You know, a bicycle repair shop, kind of maintenance shop, an IT tech longevity workshop, a clothes repair workshop. Again, we'll have people that are kind of professionals and know what they're talking about in these areas. So it won't just be people kind of like, you know, rocking up thinking I know a little bit about my phone or whatever. You know, we all know little bits and bobs, but it's always good to get a little expert view on things. And then, you know, just for the sake of, you know, just adding another dimension, we've got a little book swap thing going on as well, where you bring a book, take a book kind of thing, because there's been such prolific reading across in the pandemic time. I think that, you know, we're all kind of buying so many books, and that's not really contributing to the whole recycling agenda either, and the library was closed for so long and things like that. So, you know, we're gonna do that. We're also taking the opportunity to run kind of like just a small competition on that day, so that we can gather some more ideas and get people engaged, so people that are coming along, you know, get their thoughts about, you know, what we could be doing in the future. I mean, we've got kind of, I guess that leads to my kind of final point, which is about the future really. It's about kind of like the things that we can take part in and do together. There's already kind of like lots of ideas formed within the group, and it's ranging from kind of making bird feeders from old wood and that kind of thing, upcycling items, you know, whether it's pallets or old furniture or repurposing things, a bit like that repair shop type of notion, you know, going along that route rather than throw stuff away. Up to kind of like, you know, a tool library. That's kind of like a concept that's been floated about as well, and various kind of cities have that. Stirling has that, Glasgow have it, Edinburgh have it, you know, where you've got these tools that you rarely use and they're stuck in a garage for a year and it comes out once a year kind of thing, you know, whereas if you've got like a library you can call on, if concepts like that. I mean, these are kind of things that are just being thought of at the moment, but we're keen to gather new ideas and more ideas, because it's got to be relevant and useful to the people that live here. So there's no point in pushing for things if people, you know, that's not what's needed. You've got to tailor it to your community. So yeah, I guess that's really it in terms of, just in a nutshell, you know, what's happened and what's currently happening and what we hope will happen in the future. So hopefully that's enough to give you a bit of a flavour. And we're going to try to encourage people to get involved on the Sunday, to get involved in different capacities, you know. People don't have to be in it for a big long-term thing. You know, I came to it because I happened to win a litter picker and I was like, oh my God, what the blazes am I going to do with a litter picker? I'm going to go out like a person like looks as though they're doing community service. You know, if I go out on my own, I thought, I'm not doing this on my own. This isn't an issue for me on my own. I don't litter, so I'm not going to go around picking up other people's litter. But if it's a community thing, then it adds that awareness, you know, and it has more impact. So that's how I came about joining the group. So hopefully there'll be other people that go, oh, I'm not in it for the long haul, but I'm in it for this particular project or this little aspect, and it can get different people involved that way. I better finish because I know you've got short time.
Yeah.
Can I quickly ask, what competition was it that you won a litter picker?
It was okay. It was one of my I'm a kind of like an ex-lawyer, and we have like a law firm, Denton's, so one of the biggest law firms in the globe really, and they were having what's called a Big Blether Day, and they have these days where they were talking about different issues, and this particular Big Blether was about environmental issues and what things people are doing. So one of the things that I had said was, and I actually gave credit to my son, because I said he's been doing this compost heap. So I said, I can't take credit for the compost heap, but however he's been doing it, and it's really improved his mental health. And they particularly liked the fact that I was linking up the whole doing something environmentally friendly with mental health. And I think that's why I got it. So it's really his litter picker. I should have given it to him.
Tahira, can we say that we're all so pleased that you won a litter picker and came on board? Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Tahira. I think that gives everyone a total flavour of what that group is achieving, and we're really looking forward to the Love It, Fix It, Share It event this weekend. I think next we'll go to Home Energy Efficiency Group, which is Erica's presenting this evening. This is a very beginning stage of a group, so go for it, Eric. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, no, I'm glad you said that. I was going to open with some excuses. But yeah, it's early stages. I perhaps haven't had as much time to dedicate to this over the summer as I would like, but we've got a few ideas. I think in terms of I think it's largely myself and Cameron Bryce who gave a presentation a bit earlier in the year. I'm not sure if he's actually here tonight. I haven't looked through the participants. Perhaps not, but so we actually work in roughly the same area on something called the ECO scheme, the Energy Company Obligation, but from different angles. This is a scheme which is there to make sure the larger energy suppliers help out people in fuel poverty by providing new heating systems, insulation, that sort of thing. So we both have a sort of professional interest in this area. So I think Heather suggested I say a little bit about why energy efficiency, home energy efficiency is important. So I looked up a few stats before this. Currently around 20% of the UK's carbon emissions come from the energy we use in our homes. And the Committee on Climate Change thinks this probably has to about half by 2030 to keep us in line with the country's carbon trajectory to meet our commitments. So there's a sort of a big argument from the carbon side why we all need to think about the energy we use in our homes. I mean, some of the progress, I should say as well, will come from decarbonisation of the electricity supply and perhaps changes to the way we produce gas, so use of hydrogen, that sort of thing. But we still need to do a bit ourselves. There's also a financial argument for it as well. And we've all seen, I think, recent stories about gas price rises and potential energy price rises in the coming months. So that's something that I think all of us would be interested in. Another sort of topical thing, daytime domestic energy use has gone up by about 30% over COVID whilst we're all working from home. So another reason to think about the energy we use in our homes. And lastly, something like 25% of Scottish homes are living in fuel poverty at the minute. So there's a lot of people who, the costs of fuel, I think the definition's more sophisticated now. It used to be if you spent more than 10% of your income on fuel, you counted as being in fuel poverty. So, the cost of energy is a big thing for a lot of people. So in terms of what we can do, as I said, Cameron's already given the presentation on some of the things that, some of the larger things, perhaps heat pumps particularly, people changing their heating systems to this newer technology, which is a much greener option than gas boilers that we're all used to. I've also volunteered myself to do a presentation. As Lindsay said, me and Gordon have moved relatively recently to Cardross, and we've got a house which it's probably fairly typical in terms of insulation levels and the level of energy efficiency that it's got, but I reckon we could do quite a bit better. So as we make changes and upgrades, I was going to sort of keep track of these and present them, do a little presentation at some point to show what we've done and what some of the simpler things that can be done to save energy at home. So that's
brilliant.
Yeah, a sort of awareness raising side. We also had obviously myself and Cameron working in the energy efficiency area have a bit of knowledge between us. Cameron probably more than me. We're very happy to share this at any point if anyone has energy related questions or ideas about insulation or improvements to homes. So yeah, sort of an advice side of it as well.
Yeah, I have to say I was quite interested. Heather mentioned that you'd been maybe interested in hiring, is it an infrared camera or something to be able to see where your heat loss is in your house? We have a very quirky house that I suspect heat leaks out of, and I'm trying to internally insulate it just now, and I would be fascinated to go into the rental price of one of them, share the rental price of one of them to have a little shot to see where all the gaps are in our house.
Yeah, I mean, this is partly suggested because I'd really love to do that as well for our house. But I think that would be a fun thing, both sort of for the practical side, but also for an awareness raising side, just showing people how much heat is escaping.
I think it'd be fascinating, and I think it would be amazing if at any stage advice or information that we shared on this group helped lift anyone out of fuel poverty, because it must be such an overwhelmingly upsetting situation to be in. So if that can help anyone in the village, I think that would be so worthwhile. Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing what that group does and your Zoom in the future. And we'll move on, if that's all right, to Veronica, who's going to speak about COG. And I'll let you rip with what COG is, Veronica.
Okay, well, COG is Cardross Community Organic Garden. And first of all, really how it came about, I believe, is because of Peter Foster. Many of you might know Peter, who keeps the garden at the church grounds tidy. And Peter has, for many years, I believe, had a vision of creating a community garden down there. Also, thanks to Heather, who was my first introduction to the idea of the Cardross Community Garden, and Reverend Maggie and the Kirk Session, who have all been very supportive, and hopefully we will be able to go ahead in due course. So what have we been doing over the last few months? Well, a great deal of talking seems to be a common point on this group, but talking amongst ourselves, people in the village and beyond, and that has come up with lots of ideas for us, bewildering amount of ideas. Internet searching as well to help us with what will happen as far as legalities or funding or management of a community garden will involve. And again, lots of very helpful people that we've come across in those areas. So initially an anonymous, can't say that, survey was sent out to as many people in the village as possible. And this was to help gauge the level of support for the idea of a community garden. That created a good return with mostly positive responses from folks. So a small group then gradually formed, and we have continued to seek out information from various sources, including successful community gardens that have been visited, from Fairley in Ayrshire to Erskine, Balloch and Loch Lomond Gardens, and Roseneath Community Garden. And on the whole, we've been able to establish for ourselves what we might consider we would like to include in a community garden, and maybe some of the ideas that we might not. But that will depend on the local population. Then we came up with this name, Cardross Community Organic Garden, and at about that time we decided to fill in the border at the back of the church hall. Don't know if Maggie knows about this, but we planted some potatoes, some late grown potatoes, which I had a wee look at this evening, and I think they may be nearly ready to see if there's anything under the ground. So we'll let you know about that. So our vision, what do we hope for in the future? Well, our hope is to create an inclusive garden where everyone in Cardross may feel welcome, safe and cared about, especially in these times, valued and involved. And we hope that people of all ages and ability, and the many groups that are in Cardross, will become involved and very much a part of the garden. I meant to say involved and included, but the word went out of my head just then. So involved and included in the garden. So quickly, where do we go from here? Well, we now, as I'm sure some of you, if not most, know, we have an outline plan to propose for a community garden, which will be on show at the 2 events that are coming up in the village this coming weekend. So at the church hall on Saturday between 2 and 2 p.m. 12 and 2 p.m. and at the church hall on Sunday between 1 and 5 p.m. And at those events, we will have that plan on show, but we also hope and invite people to jot down their thoughts or their ideas, maybe offers of help, and if they want to become really, properly involved, and to leave a contact email or phone number if they wish to be kept informed of progress and or potentially become more involved with the garden. We've also got a very newly put up Facebook page, which can be accessed by searching Cardross Community Organic Garden. I'm thinking we might need a proper link to that somehow, because I know someone has not managed to get there. But we'll keep everyone informed via that Facebook page when it's properly up and running. It's very much in infant stage at the moment. So I hope that briefly outlines our plans for the future, and we'll very much look forward to being able to progress very quickly. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Veronica. That was amazing. I'm really excited about that. I saw a pin board at Heather's house today and it looked super exciting, the plan. So that will be lovely, and I'm looking forward to seeing more on it, about it on Sunday. Okay, I'm aware that we are quite tight on time now. I'm going to race through. So there's a shore project that Duncan and I are leading on. I'm going to do the very quick patter, Duncan. I'm thinking that we maybe in the 7 minutes 14 seconds we have remaining, we might not go into the details of the
I can do the whole thing.
What's that?
I could do the whole thing. I could talk about I can talk about the shore group.
Okay, do it. You've got 5 minutes. Go.
So the shore group came about partly because Nicola put me in touch with Lindsay, and Lindsay said, "What's on our seashore?" And I said, "It's amazing. We should really survey it." And Lindsay went busily about and brought together a lot of interested people, and we found that there was a Nature Scot, which used to be Scottish Natural Heritage, were encouraging people to do community-based marine biodiversity monitoring because they don't have a record of everything that's around Scotland's coast. And so we applied for, and they were doing a fund. So a crack team, I would say, of various academics got brought in to help write a grant application, and we were successful in getting, well, quite a good significant amount of money. What was it? Nearly £2,000, wasn't it? And that meant we could buy surveying equipment. And the proposal is audacious because it's doing not just seashore transects, it's profiling the seashore and doing also a video surveys. So we're going to go out when the tide's in and survey and see what living in our seashore. Now, I did a talk, I was asked to do a talk about it and why we should survey our seashore back in May. And one of the key reasons is we've got, well, the area is actually a protected area. It's a site of special scientific interest, as well as being part of the Inner Clyde Nature Reserve because of all the birds, especially 3 species of bird waders that nest there. But it's clear that we've got quite a large number of birds, and for that come and feed there, geese, different geese species, ducks, terns, everything. So it was worthwhile finding out what's growing there. The key thing is we've got seagrass, and that's why you should survey it, because seagrass is 35% more efficient than trees at storing carbon in your face trees. Sorry, I'm a marine person, like Team C all the way. So now I've got 2.5 minutes.
Yes,
sorry?
go.
Sorry.
We
like everything, don't worry. But we like trees, but they get a lot of attention, and seagrass.
They
seagrass.
Well, I
and
think
so we
actually, if I could just interrupt Duncan for a wee moment, because I think the key point about the seagrass and the special protection thing is that we need to broadcast around the village that between August and April, we are not allowed to walk our dogs off the lead on the beach. There is a very tiny sign indicating this, but many very responsible dog owners that I've spoken to were completely unaware of it. So I'm just going to start, because we're past August now, plugging this. So if you know someone with a dog, it's not a in your face, you can't walk your dog here. It's just a very gentle, that actually it's a special protection zone. We're not supposed to be riding our horses or walking our dogs over the seagrass and frightening the seabirds, because they're really important for our sea scene. Sorry, Duncan, I just wanted to get that in. Carry on with the results. Go for it.
Oh yeah. sorry, it was so our seashore could be really important if in the broader scheme of things of helping combat climate change, but we need to know whether we need to help increase protection. We need to educate everyone to know how amazing Cardross Bay actually is, and so part of that is trying to get notices out. We're going to try and make more information. We had a very successful weekend in June, and I'm going to quickly share my screen if that's all right. There we go, and I'll just go quickly through a little slideshow. So this is Cardross Bay. We had a family day just to introduce the whole idea to children and the seashore, and just go down and talk. So this is someone holding a periwinkle. This is a small stickleback that we found because they were all over the place. And then we did taught people. Thank you very much to Hira who came down. I very much enjoyed spending time with people. The key result is there were lots of snails, but we were successful in identifying various species of seaweed. So though there is a lot of green seaweed growing there, which is indicative of high nutrients, we could identify down what they were. So we found like 4 species of ulva, which is amazing. A species of red larva. We found some nice racks growing there. We found 4 species of snail, and we found crustaceans called amphipods, and we found mussels. And so this is a nice example of ulva, but we also found our seagrass. I've got at the end. So these are just some of the quadrats, and this is the mussels. In that quadrat alone, which is I think a 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter quadrat, there's approximately 250 mussels. So that's really dense. So in light of everything, our seashore could be a really good carbon sink. We've got the seagrass, which is really good at drawing in the carbon, and then we've got mussels, which also sequester and locks away the carbon. So we just need to know whether it's okay or whether it's not. And so long-term surveys, that's the plan. The next one is on the 2nd and 3rd of October.
Well done, Duncan. Good work. Okay, 45 seconds, folks. As you all know, this is part of the Climate Fringe Week, which is getting us all in the zone for COP26, which starts on the 1st of November in Glasgow, and is so vital that our leaders make sensible decisions so that humans can continue to live on our planet. So this weekend, to get us in the mood, 10 AM on Saturday, we've got the beach clean, followed by Messy Church, who are offering us all lunch in the hall. We'd love to see you all at that, especially if an interest to find out more about COG. We'd love to set up at the back of the church hall gardens with that. And they're looking for your feedback. And I'm going to have to say goodbye. Love it, fix it, share it. 1 till 5 on Geilston Hall. Thanks, folks.